Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hope you're enjoying day 3 of EU Regional 3 as we try to figure out which teams are going to be joining the rest in the fall split major in Sweden. But of course, it is Sunday, therefore we must do a Q&A video. Your guys' questions answered by me as candidly as possible. As always, if you guys want your questions answered next week, make sure you drop them in the comments down below. But with that said, Q&A number 30. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Hope you're enjoying your weekend. Obviously, EU Regional 3 has been pretty hype. Hopefully, we have some questions answered about who's joining at LAN. But speaking of questions, we got to answer your guys' today. Up first is going to come from Keith. It says, hey, Lawler, since it'll be during Regional 3, if you answer this question, going to buy your eye test, do you think NA or EU will have more top 8 teams at the major? And will any team from any of the other minor regions make top 8? Cheers. That's tough. We haven't seen international competition in 2 years. I do have some favorites, and I'll talk about those in just a bit here. But without ever seeing those teams compete internationally, I think it's really, really difficult. I think we can lean on history in this one and kind of look at what happened to OCE and SAM when they first came in. While the regions may show some competition, ultimately beating the top dogs is going to be really tough. I mean, 10 teams coming from NAEU total. And getting through some of those is going to be really tough. Ultimately, I think those teams coming in will be more of a learning experience and trying to take that as like replay analysis and bring that back to the regions to get stronger, hopefully motivate them, be like, wow, we're dominant in our region, but there's such another skill level above. That should motivate and excite a true competitor to go back and bring it more. When it comes to your direct question, how many I think will make top 8? I don't know if we're going to see any of the other regions making top 8. Maybe there will be that one dark horse team that surprises everybody. Maybe Sandrock is that good even without Ocalid. Like, there's a lot of different things that we have to answer, and I won't be able to tell you until I know. The other difficulty is we still need to fill out the rest of the teams that are going. There's still 8 teams that I don't know that are going to LAN. I just don't know. I will say, based upon what I think is going to happen, based upon predictions and all that kind of stuff, even though European predictions mean literally nothing, it's a coin flip, it feels like, at this point. If I had to guess, I think we will get 5 North American teams and 3 European teams. If I had to guess, in that final bracket, I think most of the NA teams will upset. If not, 4 and 4, I think, is definitely possible, which I would love. I would love NA versus EU everywhere across the quarterfinals. It just makes it good for competition, makes it good for fan bases and everything like that. But I think if you look at the teams in North America, Energy has a really recreatable position and style on LAN. All 3 of those players look incredible. Justin's clutch, Garrett's super consistent, and Squishy usually plays up at LAN, if not even better. So that team looks great. I think Envy, no matter what version they bring, whether it's defensive or offensive, look absolutely incredible. I think the only concern there is probably Atomic, because Atomic can be hit or miss, but he looks absolutely incredible as of late. You then look at G2. If G2 manages to keep their same level of play like they just had, they look like they can win Worlds. Ultimately, if they boot camp too, it's going to make them only more scary, which I know they are. So G2 looks incredible. FaZe has incredible pop-off potential. Could be hit or miss with First Killer's first live event like that, but with no crowd and everything, maybe that shows up. And then for Complexity, nothing to lose. Coming in here to gain experience can look pretty good. That's where I think that 4-4, I think that 5th seed is always going to be the question mark. And maybe there'll be some surprises along the way. Maybe Furia, whoever comes in from Sam, looks really, really good and makes some surprises. Technically, Sam has 3 teams going to LAN if we want to joke about it, but I'm stealing Complexity as an NA team. That is representation of North America now. And then you look over at EU. It's hard to give you. My predictions that I had were Vitality, BDS, Misfits, Endpoint, and who am I missing? And Dignitas. Like, if those teams come over, I'm excited for a lot of them. I'm excited for a lot of things that they do. Usually and historically, teams that are a little bit more positional based and a little bit more reserved and a little bit more consistent on the rotations do better than heavy mechanics, because most times in an uncomfortable environment, you're not able to play at your peak performance. So it will be interesting. There's a lot of questions to be asked, but if I had to predict either 5 NA, 3 EU, or 4-4, I could see it being 4-4. Up next comes from Levi. Says, it's been a long stint since regional styles developing in isolation due to the pandemic. Between EU and NA, which regions do you think will have received the biggest stylistic wake-up call when we return to international play at the major? Excluding the smaller regions here, mainly because I think they're tasked with adjusting to the level of the big 2 at LAN. Yeah, I do think that second point you make is really important. This carries over really well from the last thing I said about how some of these other regions are going to come in and take this as a learning experience. Knowing that there is such another level to the game, it's going to be kind of an eye-opening experience. And it may hurt a little bit, but I feel like a lot of those regions are being exposed to what the RLCS is for the first time ever. And that is an eye-opening experience. It's a motivating experience. I look what it did for OCE and SAM and how much better those regions got almost immediately after. And those teams that get to attend are going to have so much more information to build off of to make the rest of their region better. So you want to talk about a snowball option, that's there. As for stylistic things, I don't think that really pays attention. I understand that these teams have been within their regions for 2 years. And yes, EU is playing against EU for the last 2 years, and NA is playing against NA for the last 2 years. But at the end of the day, the meta evolves. Teams have to adjust to what works best. If NA is used to being mechanic and flashy and stuff, how did we adjust? How did we remove the defense? A lot of demo, like all those things kind of translate over. So to do an all-encompassing, this is how EU plays, this is an all-encompassing, this is how NA plays, I don't think really works out. I mean, look at the difference between Energy, Envy, G2, FaZe. Like the styles of which they approach the game are so drastic at times that it's like, to really compare them and say, this is how NA plays, this is how EU plays. I think fundamentally there is some concepts that you want to instill, but ultimately I think it comes down to individuals. I think for the first time, now that the talent has all gotten to a certain level, I don't think you can just say, this is how EU plays, this is how NA plays. I think there's such drastic changes in some of these teams that they have formed this identity that I don't know if there's going to be necessarily a stylistic wake-up call. Historically, in the last few LANs, it was NA dominant, except for a couple teams from EU, primarily Vitality, stomping through to make it to the grand final. They did it in Season 7, where they won. In Season 8, they made it to the grand final again. But NA dominated most of the rest of the bracket, so maybe that'll be different this year. I don't know. It's been 2 years. There's a lot of questions. I'll be doing a full dedicated video, I can tell you guys, on things and mentalities to keep in mind for the first LAN in 2 years. It'll be a fun video. Make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But next comes from Mr. Grant. He says, you mentioned that you were professionally trained to be a desk analyst. What did that journey entail for you? Is there a school for that? Also, did you feel this training improved your game sense at all in Rocket League? Just genuinely curious. No, I don't think it had anything to do with Rocket League. My game sense for Rocket League has always been pretty solid. It's actually what allowed me to become a caster, commentator, whatever it is. But most of the time, there isn't really like a school and stuff. A lot of commentators kind of have the same story where like we happened to fall in love with a hobby, and because of that we ended up getting plucked out of it because of this weird scenario or something like that. So I didn't take schooling, I didn't do anything. It was just purely experience based. I didn't like have any specific steps I took. If you haven't seen like the steps of my career, I do in my 10,000 subscriber video, kind of what led me to becoming a RLCS commentator. Highly recommend going back and watching that. But it's mostly experience in the people that I've been able to surround myself with, the prep work and the things that I've done, and the experiences I've had based upon places where I feel comfortable, the different talent I've worked with, my strengths, my weaknesses, the ability to do long form content as compared to short form content. You try to lean into your strengths. By all means, I love casting. I've been able to do play-by-play and color. I've been able to do conversational stuff. I've casted for 14 different titles or something like that at this point, between battle royales and random party games and whatever. And these are like professional gigs, not just like on my stream. So I've been very blessed in my career, and I've gotten a lot of different aspects, but I think it shows. I mean, you watch, the YouTube videos, you watch the conversations we have at version 1, or when I went to the We Play Invitational in Ukraine, you can see the desk analyst style as compared to the actual casting style, and it varies. I think it just comes down to, based upon the scenarios I was put in and the things I was trained to do or the roles I was asked to do, that's kind of where my natural fit became. So by all means, I love casting. I love doing play-by-play, but I also like doing desk stuff too. Interviewing, whatever, hosting, you name it. I've done a little bit of everything, and I've been lucky to do it. But there is some people that go to like broadcasting school, and most of the time they get stuck into commercials, and then they hope for their big break, and sometimes it never comes. Up next comes from Charles. Says, hey, thanks for everything you do. I love the videos. Not a day goes by that I don't tune in to get my RLCS update. Man, that hits here. Appreciate it, man. I know that every day is a grind. It has to take its toll. So again, thank you for much work. Yes, I'm tired. I'm very tired. Question for you. I've been considering trying my hand at casting and working into the esports scene. I've contemplated your previous advice on the subject. There's always one part that I was left curious of. Once you get past the startup phase and you have moderate following and you have owned your skills to a professional level, how does that push through into being an RLCS or other major pro platform caster happen? Is it something where you're constantly reaching out to them, trying to get to cast, or have you once hit a certain level of notoriety that they reach out to you? I'm sure it's a case-by-case basis. And do you, by chance, know how it happened for the other guys on the main broadcast that aren't former pros? So this one has a lot to unpack. Again, it goes back to my 10K video. If you haven't watched that 10K sub video, watch it in detail. Funnily enough, most of us in esports are like a random stars aligning, right place, right time kind of circumstance. A lot of times you want to put yourself in a position to be successful, like I stated. When it comes to commentary and esports and stuff like that, early adopters are usually the ones that get benefited the most. There's no guarantee for it, but if I start casting a brand new game and that game happens just magically to have a successful esport, and then the developer decides we're going to put some money into it, looking at you, Nintendo, and what you did with Smash, which I think they actually just supported for the first time ever. But like, there is no guarantee that an esport is either A, going to happen, or B, successful for a new game. So being an early adopter definitely has its risks. That's why I recommend you do it for the love of it. Now, if your skills have been owned to a professional level, that determination does not get determined by yourself. It gets determined by your peers and the people who hire you. And the more prestigious gigs you do, if you have professional skills and you're getting past that initial hump of like, you know, I'm just going out of my way, I'm being ambitious and hungry, I'm not just doing community casts, but I'm also doing stuff where I'm getting paid. In time, it may just happen to be that after a certain point in time and you've built the resume, you do get that one gig that's a chance. And that's basically your resume. I've seen actually casters within Rocket League themselves get opportunities to do a big name event, live events, and they botch it. Where they just, for lack of better phrasing, they the bed. They fell under the pressure. The cast was not good. And then they stopped getting called up. And that's kind of what's scary about being a commentator. Is every single individual gig, every single job, is you basically putting out a live resume. That is your demo reel. That is your tape. That is what other organizations, other production teams will go and look at to see, should I hire this guy or not? And it's scary sometimes. And that's just the tough reality of it. Most of the time, though, I can tell you is a lot of it has to do with your networking skills. While you are doing the grunt work, while you are grinding to get that professional level experience, while you are going through all the communicasts, you are going to be working with different production partners. You're going to be working with different community figures. You're going to be working with a bunch of different people. And building those relationships, showing up on time, if not early, helping out, doing the extra work, can carry over and present an opportunity. Case in point, you guys should all know who Jorby is by now. Jorby was a guy that just had the chops. He didn't have the refinement, but myself and LeafX, who were people that were having the option to choose which talent came to certain events, primarily the stuff like Gnarly, heard and saw Jorby and said, man, this guy I think has that natural gift. He's a guy that I've heard and I go, hey, you know what? This guy I think has it. He needs some help, but it'll come with the experience. So Leaf started casting his own tournaments called like Drop Shot and Roll and stuff with Jorby. And that was the first time that we really started to get to hear Jorby on a regular basis. And then we're like, you know what? I really like this guy. Let's bring him out to Gnarly. Let's give him a first live event experience. And we did that with him and Subi. And it's like, by being a good person, by accepting the opportunities and allocating the time correctly, yes, you may be giving up certain options otherwise, as it's always an opportunity cost. Jorby put himself in a position to be successful. One, by working hard. One, by, you know, doing the right events to get his name noticed. But then when he did get those opportunities and the call up, per se, you know, he knocked it out of the park. So again, there's a lot of people that I've seen literally on Twitter be like, when am I going to get my chance? When am I going to get? And I'm like, you had your chance, man. You up. Like, you messed up hard. And that is why people don't look at your resume anymore. It doesn't matter. So again, it's a really cutthroat business. There is, for every one person, another 100 plus, all hoping and grinding for it and possibly getting it. But the harsh reality is a lot of people just never make it. I'm very blessed to be in the position I am. I'm very lucky that the stars aligned and I got an opportunity based upon the networking in the right place, the right time, and all the things. I know without a doubt, I'm very lucky that someone like Golden Boy saw my demo stuff and was like, how have I never heard of this guy? I'm gonna fight for him. That doesn't always happen. I'm very lucky to be here. I'm happy to be 6 years later talking to a fan base that actually gives a shit about what I have to say. I'm very blessed to be in the position I am. It's coming up on the 2-year anniversary of being let go of the RLCS, and the fact that I'm still able to do this is candidly unbelievable. It really is. I'm a little worked up here, guys. You make me think about stuff. But this is what you guys wanted, Q&A. I said candidate answers. You're getting them. Last but not least comes from the man or Theman or they. I don't know. We're going with the man. What are a few cross-regional matches you're most excited to watch from a playstyle perspective? I'm going to make this one nice, short, sweet, easy. All of them. I've not seen international competition without ping in 2 years. Give them all. I don't care if it's the worst seed versus the best seed. The fact that I don't have to watch the same teams play each other again is amazing. We finally get real storylines, real conversation, real development into what an international world championship is going to be. I'm pumped. All of them, man. All of them. It sounds like a bullshit answer, but I can't tell you how excited I am to now watch the same regional matches for the 4,000th time. I'm pumped, dude. Give it to me. Inject Sweden straight into my veins. I'm looking forward to it. All over the place with the questions today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the answers. Some of those a little bit tougher to get out than others, but seriously, I hope you guys enjoy the content. We do these every single Sunday. If you guys would like your questions answered, the best thing you can do is drop them in the comments down below or come hang out with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Lawler. I will answer your questions on stream all day, every day, except for Tuesday and Sunday when I don't stream. But that is going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.